Hello, everyone. My name is Jaclyn Corin. I am a survivor of the mass shooting in Parkland, Florida, and I am also a co founder of March for Our Lives. You may have seen us get out there this past Saturday on June 11th, calling on Congress to finally do something with regard to ending gun violence. And fortunately, we've seen some good news come out of the Senate this past Sunday. But ultimately, we always need more to end gun violence in this country. So I'll start by first addressing the shooting in Uvalde, Texas. That was a devastating event, and I am sending all my strength and love to the Uvalde community because I know how it feels to be, a part of a community that is absolutely broken due to gun violence. Uh, and young people are terrified in this country, and rightly so. Getting shot is now the leading cause of death among young people nowadays, which is an unacceptable fact. It's more than car accidents, it's more than cancer, it's the leading cause of death. We can't even enter spaces that are supposed to make us feel the safest, the places where we're meant to learn and grow and become the citizens that we're always meant to be, without fearing that we're going to be shot dead in our seats. I'm 5 years or 4 years rather removed from the shooting at my high school, and I still fear sometimes that I picked a seat, a little too far away from the emergency exit in my college lecture hall. I should not have to feel that way. No student should have to feel that way in this country. It shouldn't be this way. And you know what? Just because school is out for the summer doesn't matter, because gun violence is still going to continue whether we're in or out of school, because gun violence happens everywhere. We saw a few weeks ago now 10 people being gunned down by a white supremacist in a grocery store in Buffalo, New York. Gun violence can happen anywhere at any time. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if we continue to see an uptick in mass shootings over the course of the next few weeks because of the social contagion of mass shootings, because of wannabe shooters desiring the same levels of fame and recognition that shooters of infamous shootings, what the fame that they get. These are scary, scary times that we live in. And if you're watching this, I know that you're scared. I'm also scared. And it's even scarier, honestly, knowing that it's all preventable and that people in power do not care about implementing laws that will prevent this madness. Uh, when the Uvalde shooting happened, it was especially frustrating because I knew that it was so similar to the shooting that happened at my high school. Everyone asked me, is this like Parkland? And absolutely, this is like Parkland. You have a teenage boy with violent desires getting access to a firearm, of a weapon of war, really, and killing innocent children in the place where they're supposed to feel the safest. You have families and friends grieving the deaths of their loved ones, asking, why us? You have the whole country absolutely petrified that they're going to be next. And honestly, those fears are justified because getting shot is now, again, the leading cause of death among young people. And this is happening absolutely everywhere, not just schools. No one is safe from this issue. And just to briefly address the whole, militarization of our school argument, putting more police in schools, it's just an absurd argument. If you're looking at Uvalde or Parkland, you see school resource officers that are armed, or police officers that are armed, who refuse to enter the building as the shooting happens. And that's embarrassing. It's the Republican focus on amping up school security just completely ignores, again, the fact that security, even armed security, does not prevent death. And also the fact that an 18 or 19-year-old with violent desires was able to get access to a weapon of war of such destruction. And we need to focus on that. And so I'll leave you all with a message of hope, because obviously things can feel really hopeless with regard to gun safety and implementing, laws that will save children and save people of all ages. But I will say that in the last 4 or so years, we've seen a lot of change. We've seen a lot of change on the state level specifically, everywhere from Florida to Virginia to Colorado. And so I know this change is possible, because if we can get it done in Tallahassee, Florida, we can get it done in Congress. I know that. It's just a matter of continuous pushing. And also, we've successfully voted out dozens of NRA-backed candidates. I think it was around 32 NRA-backed candidates lost their races in 2018, after the huge March for Our Lives protest in DC and sibling marches around the country back in March of 2018. And all of that led to the favorability of the NRA also dropping below 50% for the first time ever. And so there is a lot that we can look to for inspiration, especially state laws in places like Massachusetts, where there's some of the strongest gun laws in the country. But it's important to note that gun laws cannot just change on a state level, and we need federal change, largely because of gun trafficking. So let's start with implementing universal background checks and make our way towards passing federal waiting periods, a ban on high capacity magazines, comprehensive licensing laws, extreme risk protection orders, closing gun show loopholes, among many other laws that desperately need to be put in place. And so I'll end by, one, calling on our president to listen to what March for Our Lives has demanded of him in the past, which is appoint a gun violence prevention director to lead a task force impaneled to study and recommend legislative, executive, and budgetary reforms, and also declare gun violence a national emergency. I know there's a lot that Congress needs to do, but the president also needs to do his part. And to all the regular civilians listening to this, you also need to do your part. You need to lobby your elected officials, make sure they know how you feel about this issue. You need to donate to organizations like March for Our Lives and others who are doing this work every single day. And you also should donate to victims of gun violence and victims' families. You need to vote, especially vote this November in the midterm election. It's so vital that you get your vote out there and educate yourself on who you're actually voting for and what their stance on gun safety is. And finally, I would end by just reminding folks to talk about this issue. Don't let every shooting that happens be just the next mass shooting or just the next everyday shooting. This is a tragedy in this country, a tragedy that's happening every single day. And we need to make sure we are not desensitized. Even I am sometimes, because I follow along with this stuff so closely. But we always need to remember that there is a person behind every statistic. So let's all do our part, especially from now until November during the midterm elections. And let's see what we can make happen in the next few months, and let's save some lives. Thank you.